the centers if they need them. We provide access to analysis and comparison tools. We also provide the website for the consortium and the clients and the public to try to provide information and also to help organize the activities of the consortium. And we provide organizational infrastructure to facilitate all the coordination. DKNet and IMPC and those kinds of things. You all are aware of the 4 centers that we manage this with. And we're a fairly lean organization. So while I'm the director, Sarah Gross is my administrator, Dr. Ashok Sharma is my bioinformatician, Definition Zhu is my biostatistician, Mike Guerrero is my web developer, Kanisha, who is sitting over there, is my social media person. And then Jasmine Jones is our data curator, and when you guys upload information into our system, she's the one that reviews it and tries to make sure that everything is as accurate and complete as we can make it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do the typical website activities to kind of give you the metrics that we saw over the last year regarding the website and kinds of activities that have happened on it. But then I'm going to spend a fair amount of time on this new system that we've been developing over the last 9 to 10 months. We're still not finished with it, but we've made a lot of good progress on it. But we're trying to develop an agentic AI LLM resource for MMPC and the phenotype data that we've been storing for the last 20 years, trying to understand how we can make that a better resource for the community. So as far as the website overview, our total number of visitors, last year was about 17,000, this year was about 15,000. The problem that I'm having now is that with this all AI bots and things like that, but you just can't figure out how to filter all that stuff. Now, Google says they filter out bots, but with the age of AI, I don't think that's happened as nicely as they thought it would. But if we filter out all the China and Singapore stuff, we get about 1,300 visits per month, or about 300 a week, and everyone, it becomes about 2 pages a visit, and they spend about 2 minutes on the site. Okay, and this is just kind of giving an overview of the weeks across from 1 year from May to May. And you can see we had a few spikes during the year, but overall we're averaging roughly about 300 visits a week. How are they coming? The browsers, Chrome is still the dominant browser that people are coming in, but Safari has started to see a little bit of increase. With respect to operating systems, that's one of the things that has changed a little bit over the last year. I think last year we had almost 80% Windows, but now it's trying to drop down to about 70%, and the Macintosh portion is now coming up a little more, which traditionally we had saw very little Macintosh activity and things like that. So the vast majority of them are coming direct to the site, so they're typing in mmpc.org when they come here, but the bots also do that too, so we have to be very careful when we're doing this. But that's followed by organic search, where people are putting into Google, I'm looking for either mouse metabolic phenotyping centers, or I'm looking for mouse metabolism phenotypes and things like that, and then they'll pop up on the MMPC, and then that's how they'll get to us. Also referrals, paid search, that's thanks to Dan Port when he was doing all that. And you can see the vast majority of the organic searches are coming from Google, which would not be too surprising. So a little bit from Bing, and ChatGPT has now started to come up a little bit too. So it's very minor at the moment, but okay. And over here, you can see we have, these are really where they're all coming from, but the vast majority of them is coming from Google. We have visitors from all over the world, about 126 countries and territories, but the United States dominates that, which you would expect. Now, with respect to the orders and things that we received over the last year, we received about 130 orders from these various centers last year's from 27 different institutions, and this is the distribution across the United States. You can see right here, University of Michigan is a very large fraction of those orders. In fact, if we look at the breakdown, you can see University of Michigan has really the vast majority of the orders. I wouldn't say vast majority, but they have a large fraction of the 130 orders is coming from Michigan, so they're doing it. And overall, as far as the cores are concerned, there tends to be a distribution across all the cores. It doesn't seem like any one core within a center is dominating over the others. And so they tend to get spread out on them. With respect to the catalog, there really wasn't much changes this year. Michigan had a few tweaks now and then, but overall, this is what we have. We have 102 catalog items for UC Davis, 106 for the University of Michigan, 19 for Vanderbilt, and 13 for Yale. And as far as publications concerned, we have an automated system, semi-automated system that we run once a month to kind of, but right now we have to go by grant numbers. So that can be very misleading from PubMed because they don't update grant numbers when the publications get submitted. That could be 6 months to a year later before you actually get the grant numbers in there where our search would actually capture these kind of things. So this is a snapshot. But we have currently 88 from from 2023 when this portion of the consortium started, the MMPC-Live. So there's been 88 publications. And actually a few of them have actually been pretty responsive. So for example, this is a publication that got an altmetrics of 445, meaning that anything above 200 is pretty active for social media when you're coming to publications and things like that. And so we actually have quite a few manuscripts that have been published from MMPC clients that have gotten really good notoriety across social media. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our agentic AI LLM resources. So you'll remember, oh, sorry.
Before I go, so 88 publications from 2003?
23, yes.
2023?
Yes. So last year we had 70, and so we've got an extra 18 from the last year.
Is it good? Is it expected?
Oh, that's, yeah, it's yeah.
The average that we have?
The earlier days you could find years with 50, but that was when there was like a lot of activity from previous years kind of rolling in. But we're probably 25 a year would not be unrealistic. So 18 is actually within the ballpark of what we see. And like I said, we are limited because the PubMed does not update their grant numbers and tag the publications with the grant numbers until way farther in the future. So what'll happen is we'll do this search and all of a sudden we'll get a bunch of 2024s that all of a sudden pop up, or 2025s that all of a sudden pop up that we would, not normally, we didn't see when we did the original searches in 2024 or 2025. And so we keep updating back years too at the same time.
What is the total publications?
So that's for the entire MMPC from 2001. So, yeah. But I only was focusing on the 2023 because I thought that was relevant for us. Yes.
Sorry, Bert, do you mind if since before you move on to the agentic AI stuff, going back to the spikes in web traffic, do you see any alignment with, when Dan goes to meetings and distributes brochures and shows the booth and all that, do you see any alignment with any of those outreach activities?
I did try to do that, and I can't really. No, I looked as best as I could, but it was really hard for me to figure some of this stuff out. So, Dan and I could actually sit down and we could probably go a little bit more in depth with that. So the answer is I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe it would be good for Dan and you guys to talk about it and see if there's some ROI in some of the effort that he's doing.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, definitely. Well, I can tell you the paid search is definitely from Dan. So people coming from him doing the Google advertising and all that kind of stuff definitely was an increase. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about some LLM resources and things. So last year I introduced the MMPC chatbot integration. And so we used, for that particular project, we used a company called chatbase.co where we could do our training. In this case, we're currently trained against ChatGPT 5.5. But this particular resource was really designed for people who wanted to have tests done and they needed to understand where what catalog items were available, or so they might say, I have a mouse that's fat and I'd like to do some lipid analysis. Can you suggest some catalog items that I could use for that, or something like that? Or so it's been trained across the MMPC policies, it's been trained across the MMPC publications, and it's been trained across the catalog items and things like that. And so that's a very specific kind of thing. And you can see here's all the different data sources that we've trained this particular bot against. And so that's the one that you see on the website. That if you come down here, there's a little icon down here that you can click, and then you can start interacting with that. I would argue, though, we don't get a ton of interaction from that. I mean, we get some activity, but it's not constant, okay? But we had one user who was working on CalR and things weren't working, so it kept coming back to us to find suggestions on why the data files weren't uploading and stuff, and it actually worked. I mean, it was pretty amazing, because we have CalR as one of the links that we had it trained against, and so it will go to CalR and then start going across that website to kind of understand that as well. So. But there's this one resource that we've had for many years, and we've been trying to figure out how to deal with it. So here's a RAG LLM pipeline for semantic discovery for mouse phenotyping data that we've been working on for about the last 9 to 10 months. So we've had this 20 plus years of data collected from hundreds of investigators, okay? Now, the problem that we've always had is that each experiment is unique and it's based on the client's experimental design. So trying to compare things or looking things across these experiments has always been incredibly difficult, trying to figure out how to deal with all this. And so one of the first attempts that we ever did was we tried to do this. We created the FENSTAT MMPC and the mammalian phenotype term designations to try to unify these things across. And so I'd like to find out all those experiments that had high blood glucose, and it was because of these mammalian phenotype terms we could then pull all that up and try to unify. And that was our first attempt, okay? But now that we have the new AI LLM paradigm, we want to try to develop a system for semantic discovery using these types of tools and try to understand how to look at across all these different experiments. So all the data and stuff that I'm going to talk about was done by Neil Sinha. He's my postdoctoral fellow. He's the one that's been writing all the code for this. So he's the expert, and I am the pseudo-expert at the moment. So I'm learning this as we go along. But what we decided to do was we decided to do a MMPC RAG LLM pipeline to do this semantic discovery, and this is just an overview of the pipeline that we were building. So first we have over here data ingestion, and I'll talk a little bit more details of that, but basically we needed to get the data out in a format that we could then use as this RAG model. And RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So it's a way the LLM was trained against a bunch of data, but not our data. And so RAG is a way to add our data into that overall picture, okay? Then what we do is we have to prepare it. We have to do this normalization routine, and we're going to insert it into a SQL database where we do this concept detection, the corpus construction, embedding, and all these. And then at the end, we have this hybrid retrieval response and things like that I'll talk about in more detail in a few minutes. So